Hey, hello. Welcome to Ebusiabi YouTube channel. Guess who I have with me right here?
This is your brother Samuel Baz. I am happy to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me to your YouTube channel.
Yes, you're very welcome.
I'm very, glad to be here. Thank you.
Of course, you are very welcome. This is our first collaboration, and we're going to have a lot of collaborations. Yeah, I mean, it's all about discussing ways and means how we can, contribute to the development of, Africa, our motherland, and our various countries in Africa. Um, Brother Sam, how do you think we can contribute to the development of Africa?
Well, I think what is most important that I believe every African should be thinking about is that, you know, they always say Holland was not built by anybody but the Hollandese, right? And they also say China is being built by Chinese. So for us Africans, whether we are in the diaspora or we are in the mainland, we should have it in our minds that really nobody is going to develop the country or the continent for us,
But us.
but us, right? And in as much as that is true, it should be backed by action, right? We need to actually every day try to put in an input and also be supportive to the government and make sure we help coach them if is welcomed so that we can help develop our continent. It is a very rich continent. We all know this. We just have to make sure we harness our resources. So contribution as far as thoughts and ideas are of the essence, I believe.
Yeah, thank you, brother Sam. But it's no doubt that Africa is a very rich continent. But what have we been lacking? I mean, don't you think it's lack of leadership?
It is predominantly leadership. And I don't want to say completely leadership, but I think leadership is the main um, problem here when it comes to African development and whether individual countries as or the continent as a whole. I think leadership is the problem. We have a crisis, and the crisis is such that people prioritize different obligations. I think if we harness our thoughts together and we have strong leadership, we will achieve. We'll leapfrog from the mediocrity that we are experiencing now, the blight that is befallen Africa. We can make a difference. I really do believe that.
Yeah, I couldn't have agreed with you better. We have a proverb in Ghana language that goes like, anything that rots, any animal that rots from the head.
That's
And like we all know, our first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he was a very selfless leadership. I mean, he was a very selfless leader. When we compare leaders of today, the political leadership of today, to that of those days when Kwame Nkrumah was president. I mean, our leaders of today are so selfish. They are not selfless like, the Lee Kuan Yews who developed Singapore
right.
and all of that.
Right.
So I think everything bothers about leadership.
Yeah, no, I think that's the main summation of everything. The solution to our problem is leadership. I believe this is true and true. We can reflect back to history and we realize that when we have leaders who are resolved and they have a commitment, they can make a difference. It's not a matter of where the money is or people are poor, whatever. It's the management of that resources, making sure that they have a resolve to, making a difference. A good example would be Thomas Sankara.
Exactly.
Thomas Sankara never got the aids from the West. He never got everything that he needed, but because he was resolute, he was very determined with his policies and his aspirations. I mean, within 4 years, Thomas Sankara just transformed Burkina Faso into self-sufficient food self-sufficiency. And we are talking about Thomas Sankara because that is history. The unfortunate thing is, I have not had a lot of people talking about the current, young leader in Burkina Faso, who is Captain Traore. Now, I mean, we can question how he came to power, but we cannot lose the fact that this man has actually transformed the country within the short period that he is in. And I believe presidents who have been there, let's say for Ghana now, we are having an aspirant who was actually a president before. I mean, what is he bringing to us? What is the difference that he's going to be making? I think that's a question is there to be asked. I think we need to ask our leaders whether during the campaign or towards the election, what is it that they have for the country? What are they bringing to the table? This is important.
Yeah, thank you, brother Sam.
So
Now,
it's a little bit chilly, but I'm coping.
yeah, it's very cold here. It's very cold here down in Crescent City. We are by the ocean, so it's really cold. But I mean, we're doing this for Mother Africa. Now that you mentioned the upcoming elections in Ghana, and you mentioned our ex-president, Mr. Mahama, who is coming back to contest again. I mean, Mr. Mahama, I have nothing personal against Mr. Mahama or Dr. Baumia, and for that matter, any of the aspirants. But my whole point is, Mr. Mahama has been president before, and for the past 30 years, he has been in politics. But we could not see any better policy that he has tabled before the House of Parliament. What he was talking about was protein getting like small pigs and small chicken. This is not what we need to, develop and move, a nation forward. Now, when we are even talking of development of a nation, the developed countries, they don't even talk about gross domestic product anymore. They're talking about how happy a human being is. So, I mean, when it comes to policies, I know you've been following Nana Kwame Bediako and the rest. What do you think of Nana Kwame Bediako of the new force?
Well, I think he is the promise of Africa. I've personally, I saw his vision beyond Ghana, right? I believe not just because his youthful traits or his youthful following, but the guy has, he can be a great example to the effort towards a more, integrated Africa. That's why I saw Nana Kwame Bediako beyond Ghana, right? And it's unfortunate I have not been seeing the polls. The polls have not been promising, but I believe if we give him a chance, he can actually mobilize the entire African youth. And if he's able to do that, because let's face it, you and I are in California, right?
Yes.
California in itself, if it is a standalone country, it will be the fifth largest economy in the world, right?
Yes.
So we are beating beyond our belt every day as we aspire as small, contiguous countries or hamlets, right? Small country like Isiotimi or Gambia or whatever. These are small countries that are a million and a half, 2 million, 2.5 million. You cannot have a vibrant economy when you don't have a market. It's like everything is tucked into one market, right? Until we open up and until we integrate our economy, we cannot really make it as a nation, as a continent, and even as a country. And I believe what Nana Kwame Bediako is able to do currently, especially the development he did in Ghana as a businessman. Personally, I'm amazed. I don't know how he did it. That is you don't need anything else to show to you that the man is competent and he has ideas. And not only did he have ideas, but to execute those ideas, he is able to translate his vision into action, right? And if Ghana uh, play it right by itself and by Africa, and we are able to catapult this man to the throne of government, I think there will be a lot of results, and there will be a lot of derivative effects, especially to the neighboring countries in terms of business. I think he will be able to help integrate the sub-region in a way that it is more business friendly, and we can harness, the textile industry in Ghana and the potential of other countries when it comes to natural resources, uranium, and all of that in Guinea Conakry, Burkina Faso, Niger, and all of that. I think there is an opportunity here with Nana Kwame Bediako. I hope the youths. I hope um, his vision has reached the youths. He's able to translate and he's able to dissect it in a way that the youths understand his message. Because that's the problem here. Because I'm surprised, for the life of me, I cannot understand somebody supporting. I mean, I don't have a problem with John Amma. I don't have Muhammad. I don't have a problem with Bohemia. I don't have a problem with them. I just have a problem with the fact that youths are choosing against what it is that we expect them to be on the side of.
Yeah, let me come in. The politicians in Africa are very. I mean, I won't say they are smart. They are not smart because if they are smart, they will help us develop Africa. Politicians in Africa are doing this. They impoverish the people so that they can continue to lord themselves over the people. So the people will always come to them and they'll give them the pretense, and that's all it is about. If African leaders are smart, they will develop Africa so that when they are sick, they wouldn't have to come to America, they wouldn't travel to Europe for medical attention. If they have developed Africa, let's ask ourselves, why do they continue to bring their wives and concubines and girlfriends to America to deliver?
That's such a good question. It's such a good question because I saw you touch on this in your last videos, and I think it is very telling. And I hope people understood what you're actually talking about. The fact of the matter is that if we have people engaging in health tourism elsewhere, that is an economy of itself. Do you understand that? Because some of them are actually coming in as non-indigenous and maybe as tourists, and therefore they are spending more money as individuals without insurance actually seeking medical care in the West. It is a very expensive, undertaking, both to the economy of the country and to the budget of the country. And priorities will be misplaced, of course, because if you are spending so much money for personal health care outside, and you will not be able to, you actually will make sure there is a cut somewhere. All right. And other sectors will be deprived of the true development that they should be having. And I think that is a problem. What is wrong with the fact that if we have, you and I are in the field in Los Angeles alone, the number of Ghanaian doctors in Los Angeles is a lot. I mean, and Nigerian doctors. I have worked in Los Angeles for almost 5, 6 years, and I've interacted with a lot of doctors in Los Angeles, California. They are doing if they are practicing medicine here with excellence, why can't they practice medicine in Ghana with excellence? Problem is the priorities are misplaced. Until we realize that, there won't be any progress, right? Because I believe if you're taking your kid or your wife or your girlfriend to have gynecological care outside Africa, what is wrong with developing the infrastructure, right? We need the infrastructure in Africa. And if you provide those infrastructures, you have people who are intelligent enough to be able to practice in these areas, and especially in medicine. And that is an economic development to the country.
Yes.
The continent as a whole.
Yes, thank you very much for touching on this. And this really reminds me of one of our famous professors, Professor Frimpong Boateng. I don't know if you've heard of Professor Frimpong Boateng before. This is a very learned professor who is one of the first um, heart surgeons, and he trained in Germany. He trained in Germany as far back as over 30 years ago. This man, after training, decided to come back to his home country, Ghana, to come and help the country develop. But guess what? Because the politicians in Africa don't like honest people,
Right.
the MPP government kicked him out of the government.
Oh my God.
All because he was the minister for the environment,
Right.
and he came out with a report that was against the galamsey. Galamsey is illegal mining activities, I mean gold mining activities that go on in the country.
Right.
And this illegal mining of gold pollutes the water bodies because they use very unorthodox ways of mining,
Right.
and they use metals like mercury and arsenic, cyanide, and all of that. And this goes a long way to pollute the river bodies. And because this man, this professor captured this in his document, in his report, the government, this present government, came out. African leaders don't like honest people.
Right.
And that's the more reason why all these learned medical doctors in Los Angeles are not in Ghana.
No, there would be. And we don't expect them to be because the environment is not conducive. The environment or the the politics is rife with self perpetuation, right? They want to perpetuate the status quo, and if you don't show up as somebody who happen to be outside and coming in, they see you as as a threat, and I think that's the most
How are you going to develop? And like I asked one question in my previous video, that if Ghana was your business, would you give it to Mahama or Baumia or to Nana Kwame Bediako? I will give Ghana to Nana Kwame Bediako because on his resume, I can see what he has done before. Just like when we go into find a new job, your employer will ask you for a resume. It was you. If Ghana was your property, if Africa was your property, but now Ghana is going to elections. If Ghana was your property, who would you give Ghana to manage and why?
Yeah. So it's very clear. I mean, that is not contestable, actually. It is very clear that Nana Kwame Bediako is the right person for Ghana. He's the right person for Ghana yesterday. He's the right person for Ghana today. And he will always be the right person for Ghana tomorrow. And I believe in the fact that mm, the way I see African problem, I believe one small country in itself alone cannot actually do it. Nigeria would have done it, right? Nigeria is one of the most influential country in Africa, but Nigeria always bit below its belt because it does not see the broader picture. Nigeria actually sees itself as you know they believe in that closeness. They want to isolate every other West African or Africans, countries, and that's the problem. I mentioned during at the at the inception of our conversation that um, California benefits more as being part of the United States than it would have been as a standalone country. I said that precisely because I believe neither Ghana nor South Africa will make a difference if they did not see or prioritize a complete unification of Africa.
Yes.
But I don't mean to come across as digressing from the question, but I think I got your question. I would rather have I would rather have Nana Kwame Bediako to manage the affairs of the state, and when it comes to Ghana, than John Ama or Bomia or whoever. I think that's I think this is very clear. I think it's very clear.
Yeah, thank you for your submission, and I'm happy you touched on Nigeria. I I I mean I agree with you, and I also think it's because of corruption. That's one main reason why we are not developing. And when it comes to Ghana politics, the previous government, the NDC government and the present government, the NPP government, they both accuse each other of being corrupt. And that is the truth.
Yes.
Because the past Auditor General report has captured in their document how, monies, huge sums of monies have been embezzled. And these two parties over the last 30, 40 years have not been able to do nothing about corruption. So now I think we need a neutral party
Right.
to come and clean house. That is what we need. And it's such a shame that our religious leaders and our traditional leaders who are supposed to put the politicians in check, they are rather in bed with the government. Why do you think that is so?
I think you actually get to the point earlier when you said corruption. I think it's because of corruption. I believe that individuals felt that they have to safeguard their interest over the interest of the masses, and because of that, corruption is, the whole system is rife with corruption, right? For the life of me, I was watching the Ghanaian TV program, and an economist, I think, came in, and I think there's an economics or a lawyer economics, I think, or financial economics. So anyway, a financial lawyer, sorry, is a financial lawyer. So what his contention was that he took the government to court so that they will not spend, money, because they basically were following Nkrumah's foot, which he basically obliterated. He said the Nkrumah's vision was bad for the country, and it has put the country into debt, serious debt. But the fact of the matter is, what actually confuses me is that why is it that these people, every time we have governments, let's say in Ghana, they follow the same script, right? I don't care whether the IMF advised this way or advised that way, but if you follow the same script, government in and government out, and you realize that you are not making a difference, why are you following the same script every time that we have elections? That, for the life of me, I don't understand. Right? Because yeah, you can study economics and have a doctorate in economics, but if that script does not apply, or if it is not functional in Africa, they need to dump that script. They need to dump that approach. And for some reason, I think they are scared because maybe the IMF is on their neck, or whoever. But I cannot understand why you implement the same budgetary processes, the same austerity, and you expect to make a difference.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I cannot really put it in place. I don't understand. And these are people that see things happening elsewhere in China and all other countries that are considered non-democratic or whatever. But if it works, there's a reason why those things work. Now, I'm not advocating for not being democratic or dictatorial. No, I'm just saying that the democratic process and system in Africa need to be revisited. Right? It needs to be revisited because personally, if Nana Kwame Bediako did not win, I don't believe it's because his platform is not popular. I believe it's because he he's fighting against conglomerate of people who already have public money, and they are it is to their disposal. They have plenty of public money to use and campaign, and he actually is following the process, right?
yeah.
And I think that's what it is, because a madman will agree with you that Nana Kwame Bediako has a great platform to run with, and he has a great message, and he actually do mean a lot for Ghana, really.
Yeah, thank you very much for your submission. Sometimes it bothers me, and I don't get it when people say that Nana Kwame Bediako is a young boy, he's there for the 4 years, and he's wait for next 4 years. And I ask myself back to the question I asked earlier: if you are a businessman or you are an employer, who would you give your business to manage? It's a question of the person be after what he has achieved. For me, and I think for all businessmen and businesswomen and employers, the main point is achievement. What is on your resume? What is on your resume? Back to what you just said about African leaders repeating the same thing. It is insanity. I mean, you don't expect to do the same thing and expect different results. It's insanity.
Yeah.
So basically, that's what it is. You know, and it's just unfortunate that, like I said earlier, our religious bodies and our traditional leaders who are supposed to hold these politicians in check, they are rather in bed with the politicians.
Unfortunately, I think I probably did not answer your question when it comes to religion. I think religion is, to a very large extent, a contributing factor to African problem.
Oh,
I sincerely do believe this. I believe religion is a problem because religion, I mean, these are bedfellows with politicians. They now actually, you can barely delineate between, I can find a dichotomy because they are so, you hardly hear religious personalities criticizing the government when things are bad, when people, the poor people are suffering.
is it not?
Because, not because we don't have the means, not because there's no resources, but because of mismanagement.
Is it not?
And I think their call has been, you know, not forthcoming. We are not hearing them, harping the message that corruption is actually killing people.
Yes.
Not malaria, not dysentery, not whatever. It's because people are poor, because they are subjected to be poor by politicians who don't care.
Yeah, so is it not a question of having the wrong people in religion or the wrong people as pastors? I personally don't think religion is a problem. I think we have the wrong people as pastors and the wrong people as preachers. Because when Jesus Christ came on earth, he set good examples for us. It's not the footsteps of Jesus Christ that these people calling themselves as pastors are following. They are not. So I think we have the wrong people in the churches. I mean, we have the wrong people as preachers and as pastors. I think that's the problem, not religion in itself.
I get your point, but anybody who claims to be a pastor or a preacher is doing it under a sort of an auspices of the name religion. You understand what I'm saying?
But we have fake people, we have quack doctors.
But we cannot absolve them from that responsibility. The responsibility they took for, to carry out a social message, which is religion. Okay, they carry out a religious message to shape our social fabric. We cannot excuse them from, actually, because the people that we are saying, we are faulting for this bad message, or preachers, or activities. We need the clergy to minister to itself. We need them to, we need to see them actually, either taking action against these false preachers who are actually, conniving with corrupt. If we didn't hear them say, defend, the poor people, or actually come up with a message that is telling us that they are not involved, we have to lump them in the same, what do you call it, activities, because if they are not corrupt, we need them to speak louder. I feel like the religious people people are not speaking louder. They are not actually making it clear to us that they are not part of what I think is, the entire country or continent has been gamed out. People, you see, whether it is in Nigeria or wherever, people, religious people are kind of the richest people. Like they are more involved in more flamboyant lifestyles. If you pay attention, you will see that religious people or preachers in general, uh, I've not seen any one of them that is poor,
All right.
and
Yeah.
and they make their money from very very poor people
Yes. I
who
mean,
believe in the message of Jesus Christ, who believe in Christianity, who believes in the message, but they are exploited in the process of doing that.
yes. I mean, thank you. Thank you for your submission, and I think we'll revisit this issue again. And
Oh yeah,
and
sure.
and and your last statement, the religious leaders exploiting the people, and that's the very reason why I'm saying that we have fake people in churches right now. Jesus Christ didn't come to exploit the
I
people.
agree.
You know, these religious leaders are taking undue advantage of the people. But we'll revisit this topic again about religion. And I mean, I have my own plan of dealing with these politicians and religious leaders and the traditional leaders. Like I said in my previous video, I'm going to petition the White House, the Congress, and the Senate that they should ban birth tourism, because this is my point. If African leaders are claiming that they developed Africa, and I'll go back to it again, why do they bring their wives and concubines and girlfriends here to come and deliver? They come and deliver, their children become American citizens, European citizens, they enjoy the best of schools, education, and everything. Then they come back to Africa and lord themselves over with the poor people. So that is my point. I'm drafting a letter and I'm really serious about it. I'm drafting a letter and I'll send it to the White House. And I hope when the president elect, Donald Trump, comes to power, he makes sure that this is implemented. Because if Americans don't want illegal immigration, then we should help Africa to develop. And the whole point is this policy of birth tourism, it does not even benefit the poor people in Africa.
Right.
Yes, so that is my way of going to deal with these politicians and religious leaders and traditional leaders. Please, what are your closing comments? Thank you.
Yeah. First of all, I am very happy to be here. I would say this is my first rodeo when it comes to ever doing uh, uh, a podcast like this or a recording like this. But as a brother, I'm here to say that just as I started, we cannot make a difference by being, spectators. It's important that we have we share our ideas and bring it up to the masses. If they buy it, it's good. If they don't, we are there to give the message, to share the message. Nana Kwame Bediako, we are rooting for him. I hope he is successful, although the polls are not promising. But I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And Ghanaians, please, like I keep saying, nobody hates NDC or MPP, but we want the best for Ghana. We are doing this for Ghana and for Africa. Vote Nana Kwame Bediako of the New Force come December 7th, 2024 for a better Ghana and a better Africa. Like we always do it, peace and love to you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
It's good to
Thank
see
you.
you. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you very much.